Smiley Day Geeks. Welcome back to the Geek Cider Show. I'm Josh.
I'm Anna.
And in this video, we're talking about Critical Role Campaign 3, Episode 34. So if you haven't seen it yet and you want to avoid any spoilers, skip this video and come back later because everything we say from this point forward is going to be a spoiler. So, the cliffhanger from 33 was pretty much resolved, minus Lauda. And I do think Lauda's coming back. I'm almost positive Lauda's coming back.
It felt like Lauda's coming back. Like this isn't done for her. They seem too adamant on getting her back.
Yeah.
So and they have much more. They have resources and spells and stuff that can help them with this.
And more importantly, they have contacts.
Yes.
When you think back to the Mighty Nine, spoilers for Mighty Nine.
Yes.
When you think back to Mighty Nine, when Molly died, they had really no contacts who could help in that situation.
Yeah, they were, 3 days out from the closest town. 2 or 3 days out from the closest town. Yeah, they were in the middle
of nowhere, essentially.
2 to 3 days out from the closest town. They had no spells that could bring him back or preserve him.
Right.
They had no way to carry him. They had nothing, and they had no contact in town. Yeah. They had no contacts fucking period, except for the gentleman, and there was no reason to think that the gentleman would help them with that. And they had no money.
And there's no reason to think that the gentleman would have had the resources to put them in touch with someone who could resurrect Molly.
Yeah, so they really didn't have a whole lot of choice there. There was not.
Whereas Hell's Bells, they have multiple contacts to choose from. They have Maury, Fern's Nana. They have Lord Esteros, who seems like he's going to put his feelers out and may or may not come back with something. They have Lady Hexam.
Yeah.
Ashton's contact her, and Imogen's like, no, why would I do that? Apparently, Ashton thinks she might be able to help, or at least put them in touch with someone who can help, even though that would put him back in debt to her. Yeah. And he seems more than willing to do that. But I'm sure, much to your happiness,
yes,
Fern decided to resurrect Orem, or revivify Orem.
Yes, oh my gosh. So it absolutely made sense for Fern to be the first one revived because she has spells, and as a wildfire druid has revivify always prepared. So that was nice, and she had the spell slot so she could bring Orem back. Oh my gosh, that Fern trying to decide between Orem and Lauda. That whole scene was amazing. It was
also frustrating.
It was frustrating, but here the amazing part of it was Ashton's commentary in the background, because Ashton was losing it. They were not when they had to choose. They were like, nope, I don't want any fucking part of this. I'm out. They were just, they couldn't. If it had been up to Ashton, neither one would have been revived. The time would have ran out because they couldn't do it.
And Fern made a joke well, should we vote? And it was a moment of levity that I think we as an audience needed.
Yes.
And the players at the table definitely needed, because that was so tense. First of all, the first Revivify FCG reviving Fern, that almost went south.
Yeah.
FCG rolled really low and ended up with a total of 10, and that's what
that was the DC.
That was the DC.
It was either 10 or 11 that
he got.
10. I forget.
I'm pretty sure Matt said 10.
No, I know the DC was 10.
Mm-hmm.
Sam either
said 10.
rolled a 10 or 11. I can't remember.
He rolled a 10.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. But that was, and I couldn't remember exactly how Matt did the Revivify ritual, and basically it's the same way he does the other ones. It's just that only one person can
the person doing the
ritual,
spell. Yeah.
And FCG just basically begged Fern to come back. And I want to talk about the afterlives that we got a glimpse of. Fern's afterlife is hell. It was so just dark and depressing. And when Fern looked back to see As a DM, I would be very tempted to say, "Well, you look back. You don't get to come back now." Instead of just taking the ladder and going, or whatever, so reaching toward the light and going, you looked back. Now you can't go.
I wouldn't be tempted.
I would be tempted. I wouldn't do it, but the temptation would definitely be there.
No, because I'm like, I would want to look back, so I wouldn't even be tempted to.
I would get the tempties, I really would, but I wouldn't do it. But I understand if Matt had the tempties, I get it.
I actually I have a theory for why Fern saw hell.
Okay.
Spoilers for EXU. The evil Fern. Evil Fern. I think that hasn't been resolved yet. Yes, it's still a possibility, and as long as that's a possibility, so is that.
Fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I really hope they do another EXU.
Me too. And it doesn't feel done.
It doesn't feel done at all.
Yeah.
Contrasting, Orum's Afterlife was reunited with Will and what was it?
Derek was not there.
Derek wasn't there. You're right. Yeah.
Because he told Will to tell Derek that he misses him and he loves him or something like that. Yeah. So it was just Will.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I was fucking bawling. During Orum's whole Afterlife thing when he comes back, and I was like, oh my god, first of all, yo critters out there, artist critters who drew basically that fucking scene where
there's already art of it?
There was art before it happened.
Fuck, I gotta see it.
They predicted there was so much where art of Orm on the ground, the stone just outside of his hand, and then the next panel is like ghostly hands around Orm's face, and it says "It's not your time" or something like that. Yes, that was prediction art from a whole bunch of critters. A whole bunch of them.
Right
yes,
there.
Yeah, and like as it happens, I was like, oh my god, these people already have the art. They already did it. It's so good.
I want to see it. I haven't seen it.
Oh gosh,
I've barely looked at any of the fan art from this campaign because they don't do it during the break anymore.
Yeah, no.
So I need to go back and check the slideshows.
Yeah, you check the slideshows. Yeah, because the last fan art one. Whoo, it was rough.
I know one of the things you were most excited about in this episode was all of the Ashton lore that dropped in this.
God, yes.
We got to see Ashton's parents, and I'm with FCG. Like, I didn't know that Ashton ever knew their parents.
Yeah, I didn't know that Ashton ever knew their parents, which is how FCG phrased that. You have parents? And Ashton's being like, I'm gonna give you 10 seconds to work that out. Like, of course I fucking have parents.
but it's a memory from Ashton as a very young child.
Probably as a toddler.
Yeah.
Like 4 or 5.
Like, I can remember stuff from when I can remember my grandfather's funeral very vaguely. I was 2 years old when he died. Like, I can remember that the funeral home had red walls. And I mentioned that when my grandmother died, and they had her service at the same funeral home. And I'm like, didn't the walls used to be red? And my dad was like, yes! How do you remember that? So you can remember things from a very, very young age. It is just very bits and pieces and vague memories.
Yeah.
And Ashton apparently has this vague memory, but when the white bang hit, it brought it full back.
So we now know that Ashton is half elf. He's half elven.
Mm-hmm.
We do not know what their mother is, because Matt described her as strong and saintly, I believe.
Which Asamar?
Yeah,
maybe?
that's what I was
that
thinking.
Says Asamar,
possibly Asamar.
But Ashton is an Earth Genasi.
Because of the Hishari ritual. So apparently, not only were their parents part of the Hishari cult, it sure fuck seems like his dad was leading it and led a ritual. The ritual fucking went up and killed them all.
Now, how long ago was the Hishari? That was like a long ass time ago, wasn't it?
I think it just said decades.
So I thought it was longer ago than that.
I believe, because this discourse has been happening on a couple of servers that I'm in on Discord, and a lot of people are like, wasn't the Hishari thing decades ago? How was Ashton a toddler then? I was like, y'all, Ashton's already hinted that he's not young. Like, they are at least 28, but I think Ashton's in their 30s.
Now, I know they mentioned the Hishari in Calamity, right? But that doesn't mean...
remember.
I think
No,
they didn't?
No, that was the precursor to the Ashari. Hishari is different.
The Ashton lore just blew my mind, and it blew Sam's mind because he couldn't put it together. Of course he has parents.
And Ashton also mentioned previously that they weren't always rock, that they used to be soft.
Yeah, I remember that.
And that they turned rock during puberty.
And everybody just kind of assumed that was like mud.
Yeah, I know.
I did.
And a lot of people assume that that's just how Genasi happened, and like they were exposed to a elemental thing because the Hishari is a cult that fucked with the elements. So they fucked with the elephants and found out
the elephants.
The elephants, yes, the elements. My brain is doing really stupid things to me today.
The elephants, and all hell broke loose, and now
Ashton's Earth. See, that's what happens when you fuck with elephants.
Moving along.
Yes, moving along.
So Imogen did the blast thing, and she fired a blast at Odahan's face and just blew her far enough away to they could handle all this stuff and then have time to run away to Joe's. And then later on, Matt's like, check out your feats.
Yes.
So apparently this is something that Imogen is going to be able to do. I imagine there's got to be like a prerequisite condition or something that's got to happen for that ability
like under extreme duress or something.
Yeah, there's got to be a catalyst for it. Because if that's something that she can do like
whenever,
every long rest, come on, that's OP as shit. So there's got to be some kind of prerequisite qualifier for her to be able to do that. But oh my god, I want to see what the ability is.
So like, I wasn't super far off on my thing because I did say I thought she'd have an area effect and revive people. That didn't happen, but she did have an area effect.
Yeah, you just like dissolved the city block.
Dissolved the city block, and saved her friends from utter annihilation.
Yeah.
But speaking of, we talked about the revivals. Lauda, Marisha with her nat 1.
Why did she use the red dice?
Right? Why did she use the previous dice?
As soon as she's like, I'm going to use the red dice, I'm like, oh, well, this is going to be a fail. I know that dice rolls for shit. So, like...
She should have used Gil.
She used any other dice. She could take one of Travis's. I mean, they sit next to each other. Yeah. But never, ever roll the red dice again, Marisha. Still speaking of Lauda, Gentle Repose?
Gentle Repose, yes.
Coming in clutch there by accident and apparently blocking Delilah, I think, from taking over Lauda. Matt just said, you stop something from happening right there, for the next 10 days. Yeah. I'm like, oh shit, what was happening? Well, decomposition, duh. But what was something
that's the thing is, like, decomposition is too obvious, and that's what Gentle Repose is supposed to do. Yeah. So the fact that he said you stopped something from happening, or you felt something was happening and it stopped.
You cut it off at the pass.
Yeah, you cut it off at the pass.
Cutting it off at the pass is the key thing, because it was like, okay, like you barely stopped this thing from happening. It's got to be Delilah taking over.
That's my thought
too. So when Lauda does come back, and I think it's probably going to be 3 or 4 episodes before Lauda comes back.
I agree.
How pissed is Delilah gonna be? Holy shit. I can't wait for that roleplay.
It's gonna be great.
How do you think they're gonna bring her back? They're not gonna... We had a conversation in the car about Matt bringing in Keyleth and letting Marisha roleplay Keyleth just to get her at the table for when it... For
the revival, and... Yeah. That would be fucking cool. I think it would be awesome.
Maybe at, like,
I would
the end
love
of an
it.
Episode.
But I don't think they're going to do that. I don't think Matt's going to let them bring Keyleth. I don't think he's going to, because if he does, it's too easy of a way to bring a character back. Anytime somebody goes down, they could just, Orm would just be like, well, let me just call Keyleth, and then...
Well, and they're level 7. Mm-hmm. So basically, they're level 7, so they probably have, like, level 9 problems. right? That's kind of
Yeah.
how you run things in D&D. And they're gonna bring in a level 20 character
Yeah.
who can just fucking solve all of their problems.
Yeah.
No, you're not gonna do that.
Yeah, what I would guess is that Orm's not going to ask Keyleth until they get back to Drusar and see if they have any options. And I think by the time they get back to Drusar, Estros is going to have an option for them.
They're gonna have to do something though.
Oh yeah, they'll have to do, like, you do this mission and for this person, and then they'll owe you a favor and they've agreed to do this. Or, hey, I have a contact, and then they'll go to that contact and they'll be like, yes, but instead of money, I need you to take care of this for me. Yeah.
It's gonna be one of those deals.
Yeah.
One of my favorite parts about this episode, I mean, going beyond, you know, the revivifies and the lore drops and everything else, is when they were down in the storage room at Joe's, and the Paragon's Call showed up, and Joe didn't rat them out.
Yes.
Good on you, Joe.
Yes.
But they were hiding, and they were like right behind that door, ready to freaking pounce if they got found. But they all rolled really well on their stealth checks, and they didn't get found. And then, you know, they paid Joe a little bit extra as a thank you for not ratting them out. And the very end, with the ladder from the ship and jumping on the ladders, that's a freaking awesome visual. I love it. I want to see the fan art of that.
Yeah.
Like a big freaking sprawling.
I was really surprised that that's how. I know a lot happened, so Laura probably wasn't thinking, but I was like, why did Imogen call them back to the city? Like, why wouldn't they just, she tell them, hey, we're ready, I'm going to send you an image, send them an image of the Callaway hideout, and then them just leave immediately and go to the Callaway hideout and meet them there.
They sneak all the way through the city and get there, though.
But once they're outside the city, they're fine, basically.
Yeah,
they'll only have the crawler gangs and stuff.
Yeah, but
then nobody from in the city would see the airship and come, because that was my fear, was they're going to see an airship and Paragon's Call is going to be like, we need to go, because that's where they came in on that.
I can see why Imogen wouldn't call them to the Callaway hideout, just because they've got to then get all the way through the city. And do they have access to their crawlers now? Because they would be on foot.
Yeah, that's I'm trying to remember. I think their crawler is still. Wait, did they leave it at Paragon's Call, or did they leave it at Joe's?
If they left it at Joe's, I think Matt would have been like, "Hey, do you want to take your crawler with you?"
Yeah, that's why I thought it was Joe's.
I think it might be at the Paragon's Call.
Yeah, now I'm like, shit, did they ride it to Paragon's Call and leave it in there? And if they did, why did they steal one?
I don't know. I legitimately don't know why they left
I honestly, I don't know why they stole a crawler.
I know one of them was a loaner, so Joe probably has that one.
And they bought one.
That is theirs.
I just don't know where it's at.
Yeah, I don't remember where they left it.
Yeah, I don't remember where they left it. I do feel like it was at Paragon's Call, but
then why did they?
Why did they steal? Why did they? Well, I don't know why they stole a crawler. Anyway, I'm like, you should just sneak out the gate.
Yeah. Because you're big and obvious, and people are going to follow you.
Because you just stole one of the crawlers.
There's
and
no
if you just sneak out the gate,
yeah,
and if you just sneak out the gate, then if you run into people, they just think you ran.
Yeah.
As opposed to did something.
Yeah. So, but this is Hell's Bells.
Yeah,
it's
they don't.
Totally
it's
in
chaos.
line with how they make decisions.
It really is.
The potions that they found.
Yes.
The potions of possibility. They have 8 of them.
They have 8 potions of possibility. Which, so now I know everybody basically said, "Oh, okay, Ashton's got Duna juice in his brains," and now we have confirmation that is basically dunamis stuff. Is what they were extracting from the beacons in Mighty Nine, which is called a potion of possibility. So that's really fucking cool. And then also they found, what was in the other crate? Residuum.
Yeah. Residuum powder.
Residuum.
Yeah. So
which that's
stuff
really
is
cool.
all tying in. They might have to head by Whitestone and be like, "Hey, did you know some of your residuum is being smuggled like in the black market?
Yeah.
You might need to look into that."
Yeah,
or at the very least send some freaking messages via sending.
And again, spoilers for EXU. This ties into EXU because they found residuum on the Nameless.
Yeah, they did.
So the Nameless
on the ship.
Yeah, well, was it on the ship or the Nameless had it? It was in their storage.
It was in their storage building.
It was in their storage building.
That's right.
So the Nameless is getting the residuum, sending it to Paragon's Call.
Yeah.
Or no, sending it to Drusar.
Yeah.
Hexam's holding it, and then Treshy was sending it to Paragon's Call.
You're right.
And then I think it's going out to whatever the fuck's going on in the desert.
So it's all kind of
connecting.
It's
all. I love how not only are all of their stories connected, but like all of their campaigns are connected, and now branched out campaigns are connected. It's so fucking good. Matt is a genius.
One of the things that I think is hilarious is Orem still thinks that Keyleth was the target of that assassination. I'm like, dude, she's almost a god. There's no way that anybody would even try to go after her.
Yeah, and there was parallels in the confrontation with Odahan with the Bell's Hells and with the story that Orem told.
Yeah, there is.
You know, in Orem's in the Ashari and Zephyra, Derek and Will died. We don't know who else, but Derek and Will died, definitely. Imogen, Odahan used Lauda against her in order to get her to accept her being. So if that's her MO, then either Derek or Will was Rudisborn and she used the other one against them.
Yeah.
And they didn't turn, so they both died.
Yeah.
That's my thinking
and
now.
I'm still 100% with you. I think it was Will. I think Will was Rudisborn for sure.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, man, the plot is getting so thick.
Yeah.
And we have one more episode this month and then a week off, right?
Yes.
So I can't wait to see what happens. I hope it doesn't leave us on a major freaking cliffhanger, and then I've got blue balls for the next 2 weeks.
I really hope not, because the last week was really, really hard. Like I kept thinking about it. I was stressing about it. I did get to a point where I was like, you know what? If it's if Liam decides it's Orm's time, I'm good. We'll let that happen. Like he'll come in with a new character. It's fine. But I still really wanted Orm to come back.
I'm looking at the timestamp on our phone, and it's at almost 27 minutes. I am going to cut it down because that's way too damn long.
Yeah.
So that's going to be it for this video. If there's stuff that we didn't talk about that you wanted us to, let us know down in the comments, and we'll talk about it down there. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please let us know by dropping a like on it and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already.
And thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.